Welcome everyone to the 90s podcast hosted by yours truly, Kevin Thompson, founder and CEO of Not Capital Group. Thank you guys for joining me. As I always say, subscribe to the channel. As I always say, go and get my book, MLB to CFP, live on Apple and Amazon. You have any questions, comments, concerns, you can email us at info@notcapitalgroup.com. Send us your questions. Go to the website at www.notcapitalgroup.com. Schedule your appointment. As you know, we're here to do what? Educate, empower, engage, and also entertain. Follow us on all social media channels at NotCap or at MLB to CFP. And also subscribe to our Substack. Now what? At NotCap. Thank you guys. Today, we're talking about the number one industry discussion that most of us are having right now, that is basically put two sides against each other. Fees. The polarization of fees in our industry. And I'm bringing on the one and only Sarah Grillo. She's a flat fee CFA planner and marketer. And I wanted to get her insight because she has a lot of it. So, Sarah Grillo, welcome to the show. Let's get it. We have Sarah Grillo on the 90s podcast today. Sarah, thank you for joining us and giving us some time on this first, well, I guess it was the first working week of 2026. We appreciate this.
Amen. You're very welcome.
All right. So you and I, we've had conversations in the past. And this one conversation continues to come up in our industry, which is the fee discussion, fee transparency, what it really means. Now, I'm going to say I'm on the side of you more than I am on the other side. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I've been in the industry before. I've been in that side of the industry where commissions and all the other stuff. And no one talked about the 6% upfront commission that an advisor got. No one talked about the 50 basis point trail for 6 years and the 6-year surrenders and all the other stuff. It was hidden behind the scenes, right? But what you're talking about now is something that goes a little bit further, more along the lines of fixed fee planning versus the AUM model. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So when we talk about fixed fees, can you give me a little bit of insight on what that actually means for our industry?
Sure. Well, first of all, Kevin, I just wanted to say thank you for having me on. You've been so gracious. I also just wanted to thank God. God, thank you for bringing us together. Thank you for Kevin. Thank you for the good work that he's doing. And thank you for everybody listening to this podcast that has taken it upon themselves to learn about, to think about, well, are we really operating in a fair way for clients? Yeah. And I just commend everybody. And so God, thank you so much for your goodness and your grace. Amen. So before we start, what I'm doing is a few years ago, I started having these meetups. And I called it the transparency movement because it was a bunch of flat fee advisors at first, and it was actually born out of these social media debates that we were having about, well, which fee model is the fairest? And, just kind of people that were asking questions about this. And it just grew with so much momentum that we actually have an in-person conference every year and free virtual meetups once every month that anybody is welcome to come to. I don't care what kind of a business you have. I don't care if you're not even a financial advisor. These meetups are in the name of transparency, and we are discussing topics in these meetups about how to run a practice that operates with greater clarity, logic, and fairness to clients. Okay. So anybody who's interested in that can come to my meetups, and I'll give you the link, Kevin. It's transparentfinancialadvisor.com. Okay. So it's an open forum, and we just discuss, well, what's the best way to run the prospecting process? What's the fairest way to make clients comfortable, et cetera, for example, and a flat fee advisor will come on and discuss how they do it, an hourly advisor, et cetera. Okay. Yeah. And so, what is the kind of goal of all of this? It's funny that you asked this question of, well, is it about protecting clients or is it about professional identity and incentives?
Yeah. Well, before we go there, so I guess my question is, how's it become so polarizing? Like, how's the industry become so divided to how someone should deliver expertise or value?
It's because there's a great divide between the way that certain business models operate
Hmm.
financially.
Hmm.
Okay, so if I have $400 million under management and I have clients that are like, let's say I have, um, clients that each have $2 million,
Yeah.
and I have about 400 million under management.
Hmm.
Um, I'm running a practice. If I'm charging a 1% AUM fee on that, I have employees, presumably. I
Okay.
have a built out infrastructure. It's probably a multi-advisor firm. I know people who are charging $500 a month and running millions and millions in the hundreds of millions of dollars and are making probably $150,000 a year and
Hmm.
don't have any employees.
Yeah.
And it's a flat fee and it's a very different business model. Whereas instead of outsourcing to a TAMP, instead of having the emphasis be on the assets, the emphasis is on planning, and the communication with the client is just that different. So
Hmm.
there's a huge difference in the kind of business that it becomes when you charge differently. It's not
Hmm.
just a question of making less money. It's about what the service actually ends up being and how it's delivered.
Okay. Yeah, so that was something that I said. I think with Andy Panko, and I know you know Andy. Andy and I are really close friends. We're really good friends. Okay, so I said, Andy, I said, well, here's the question I have for Andy, and this is I don't want you to answer this, by the way. I'm just putting it out there. I said, Andy, I said, if the AUM model was actually making less money, would this be a concern? And the answer would probably be no, right? Because there's a market differentiation there. Now, I do agree when you say that, well, because this is what the argument's going to be. You have your largest clients subsidizing everything else. Why should a 15 or $20 million client be charged 80 or $90,000 a year, depending on how you structure the AUM model, and they're getting the same level of service, which technically they shouldn't. They should be getting a higher level of service. But the question is, how do you value that service, right? It's just most people can't necessarily say, well, I value that service. I do much more for them. In reality, the model's the model, and technically, but that's an aside. But how are these people subsidizing everyone else? And that's where it kind of gets the fee debate kind of gets to the point where it's like, yeah, I see what you mean. It's kind of unfair to have someone paying $50,000 and $20,000 and $10,000 for the same level of service. This isn't Medicare. This isn't Irma, right?
Well, hold on, Kevin. I love this point that you're bringing up
Yeah.
because let's think about it.
Yeah.
The fairest model would
Hmm.
be one that assigns the client a cost
Hmm.
based upon the resources of the advisory firm's time, knowledge, and skills that are deployed in the administration of that agreement,
Hmm.
of that contract, right?
Okay.
So if I have, and see, this is where just putting it on AUM and having it be a certain charge, and the more assets you have, the more that you pay,
Hmm.
is a little bit unfair or erroneous because I might have a bigger portfolio, but the resources and time required of the advisory firm might not be more, or they might be. They may or may not be more. And
Hmm.
so Kevin, I think what we're advocating here for is transparency,
Hmm.
not just as to what the firm offers and what it costs. And yes, saying I offer services for $10,000 a year is more transparent intrinsically than saying I charge 1%, which no one is even going to do the math and even
Hmm.
know what it translates into every year, but also that it's indefinite. Like
Hmm.
if I have a good year in the market, my portfolio goes up 30%, presumably I'm paying 30% more in fees because of on that 1%. Okay, it's calculated. Okay, fine. But the point here is it's not the right fee anyway. There's no guarantee that that's the right fee. Whereas if I have a flat fee model, and I love how Andy does it, I know a lot of advisors that do this as well,
Hmm.
Kevin,
Hmm.
and they specialize the practice around a service that is tailored to certain characteristics of clients having certain characteristics,
Yeah, like a niche.
Um,
Yeah.
not necessarily niche, but I mean, I would call Andy's a specialization,
Yeah.
like retirement tax planning. Okay.
Yes.
So
100%.
generally, okay, but Andy will tell you that people who come in generally have maybe like 2 to 5 million. If someone comes in where they're needing a family office, he's not going to work with them. And he's such an honest guy. I don't doubt that he would say to somebody else, this client has 25 million. I don't know. And he'll say, this person has multiple businesses. This person has rental properties. You see,
Yeah. That's
what we're
beyond my
trying to do
expertise.
here,
Yeah.
Kevin, what we're going here for is alignment.
Okay.
We're going for alignment of resources, time, and service fit versus slap them on the AUM model. If they have a bigger portfolio, or if we make more in the market, then they're charged more, which, like I said, may or may not always be fair. And I also think it's probably not lending our industry to having the most focused type of a way of working with clients. I think it makes firms very distracted and unfocused. Because
Okay.
when it just becomes about the numbers like that and about the bottom line, and we miss being able to say things like, we dedicate 15 hours a year to our clients who typically need 3 hours on Social Security planning, 3 hours on Medicare IRMA, that typically will need a Roth conversion at some point because they're all within 5 years of retirement, right?
Yeah.
You see, we lose the ability, Kevin, to align ourselves as service providers with what the needs are of a certain base. And that in itself makes our practices more efficient, more professional, gives a higher level of expertise, and I would say is going to ultimately create a better outcome for the client.
So I love what you just said there, by the way. You're absolutely like fee alignment, having your practice aligned with the clients. What I would also say is that I'm not for standardization like that, quote unquote, because what this allows me to do, let's say, for example, a client comes in and they say, hey, I got this advisor tried to give me this. Can you walk me through it? It gives me a competitive advantage. A competitive advantage to where I can say, okay, let me be the one that's going to dig through the oil field, quote unquote, and find that hidden treasure and say, you know what? This is what they're not telling you. Recently, I had a person that I'm working with who has a CPA. The CPA is trying to say, "Hey, you could join my QuickBooks, and I'll send you a link." And I said, hold on. Why is he asking you to do that? And I said, first, ask him why he's asking you to. I mean, ask him what kind of incentive is he getting for that. You know what I mean? So it gives me the ability to come in as the QB and say, no, we're not going to do that because this is how much it's going to cost, and it gives me a competitive advantage. Like, what do you say about that? No, you don't agree or agree? It's just a conversation.
So, how does it give you a competitive advantage, Kevin? Explain how it gives you a competitive advantage.
Competitive advantage because there are some advisors that are not going to be, quote unquote, like you mentioned, transparent. They're not going to tell you they have a 6% commission or a 50 basis point trail, but I know that. They're not going to tell you why they're sending you to this insurance office, but I know that. So now when I get a prospect and or a client that's being prospected by someone else outside of me, just hypothetically, and they're being given a product, they come to me and say, can you walk me through this? I trust you. It makes me their trusted advisor.
Well, yes, anything that creates more clarity in the eyes of the client, they're going to like better.
That's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm saying, then why do we want to force it across the industry when I can be that person that's that competitive advantage? And of course, with the competitive advantage comes higher value. That's just the way I think about it. Outside of just like, let's just talk about transparency. Let's get it out. Everybody should do this. I'm like, no, if people want to do it this way, because the market allows for multiple business models. And if we don't force the standardization of those business models, because what we know what capitalism is, right? When you force standardization of things, what happens to pricing? Pricing goes up, right? Technically, or typically. So I think multiple business models work, and it allows people to find the business model that works for them. That is the transparent business model that gives you, Sarah, the competitive advantage because that's what they're searching for. That's just the way I think about
Yeah,
it.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, you're right, Kevin. And I think at the end of the day, people can and will vote with their dollar signs.
Yes, yes, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So I agree with you there.
Mhm.
But I do think that having advisors know about different ways of doing things is important
Mhm.
because you do see a lot of advisors that they kind of dip their toe, that
Mhm.
they say, well, I've got the wife and the two kids, and I live in like Voorhees, New Jersey, in a like $2 million house, and I'm not
Yeah.
just going to say, all right, well, instead of making $700,000 a year, I'm just going to go flat fee, tell everybody in my practice that they're now going to pay me $500 a month, and see how happy my wife and kids are that we can't go to Disneyland this year again, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so you see what I'm saying, Kevin? I think it allows for discussions, and I think it allows for people to say, you know what? I'm going to offer AUM, but I'm maybe, and we haven't talked about hourly.
Mhm.
Hourly is fabulous, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to offer
Yeah.
I'm going to
Go ahead.
offer an hourly offering for those DIY investors that are maybe the children of my older clients,
Mhm.
or for those people that are the tech executives that are very savvy with the markets but don't know anything about when they should take Social Security.
Mhm.
And I'm going to come in and do a project for them because I know of so and so who's a Garrett financial planner, an hourly planner with Garrett, that came and was talking on social media or came to one of my meetups, and wow, this person runs a practice entirely on an hourly basis. Not sure if I'm ready for hourly yet, but I think I'm going to dip my toe and see what happens. However, still keeping my AUM and my Disney vacation.
Yeah. So the way I see it, and I love what you said there. The way I see it is that if you want to be my practice, I'll just tell you how my practice is built. So we have fee only, it's like from an engagement perspective, just clients that are going to be coming in strictly on the fee side of things. Absolutely. Come in. Hey, we're going to give you a fixed rate. This is what the cost is. Boom. We're done. Right. And then what we'll do after that is we'll move to hourly every single year after that. We'll have a one-time engagement, then we'll do an hourly moving forward. We also have business consulting where we charge just a regular one-time fee. There's no AUM attached to that. But then we also have a financial planning engagement where we have the engagement and then we also do the AUM on top of that. So um, there's multiple business models within our practice. And by the way, I do have an insurance license. Why do I have an insurance license? Well, because I came from the insurance industry and I had a bunch of trails at an outside firm, and I'm not going to give those up. I mean, it's just an ancillary revenue. So I'm not going to give that up just to call myself fee only. I get it, and I know it kind of stinks, but I'm just not going to give that up. And by the way, I do have clients who need insurance. So every now and then, when it comes around, I can tell them, I can show them where to go because this is how I think about it. It's like, and I know my buddy doesn't agree with this. And I'm not gonna mention his name, but he says, you can't be the doctor giving the prescription and then and going to the pharmacy all in the same place. I get that. But at the end of the day, it's like, if I already know what they need and how it needs to be positioned, why do I have to go out and have someone else produce that and and kind of move that revenue away from my firm? It just doesn't really make sense to me. But that's not for everybody, by the way. I said a lot there. I'm just kind of going off on a tangent there. I apologize. But I
No,
guess
I
yeah, go
see
ahead.
what you're saying, and I think that it's a personal decision
Mhm.
on an advisor by advisor basis as to
Yeah,
how you want to operate. If you want to
yeah,
call yourself fee only and you want to say, I offer completely objective advice and I don't take commissions, and
mhm.
I'll never be possibly motivated or impacted by a conflict of interest because I'm recommending you a product that I also sell,
Yeah,
then that's one thing. If
yeah,
someone
yeah,
wants to be able to say that and operate in a like quote unquote purer way, right? Then
yeah.
that is a personal decision that they are going to make versus somebody who isn't.
Okay. So fee only, like I said, it includes multiple structures. You're talking about the one that's strictly away from the AUM. You mentioned that the AUM incentivizes people to just gather assets and it's unfair to a degree. So I guess the question is, how is best interest defined? Like, how would you define it? Is it cost? Is it outcomes? Is it behavior? Is it flexibility? Like, what do you? best for the client in a nutshell. Like you say it's charging a fee and capping the income that I guess that a company should make on that individual. It shouldn't be differentiated across different sectors, quote unquote. Different client types. Like it shouldn't be like, hey, it should be $500 every single month or $1,000 a month, whatever you're going to charge. But that should
Oh,
be
yeah, okay. All
yeah. I'm
right.
sorry.
So yeah, there's a difference between flat fee and pure flat fee.
Yeah,
Because a lot of advisors have done is they've said, okay, I'm a flat fee advisor, but I customize by complexity. And
yeah,
then
yeah.
naturally the bigger portfolios they assess to be more complex. So you see these tiered fee models. And to be honest with you, I think it's nonsense in a lot
Mm,
of cases. I think if you really have clients with needs that vary that much by complexity, then what you should do is you should go out there and charge $350 per hour.
mm. Okay.
Because if everybody has different needs and it's not really that standard,
Mm.
then you essentially are just an AUM advisor if you're just going to base it on the assets.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not for that. If someone
Okay.
is a flat fee advisor customized by complexity, in many cases, they're just a camouflage AUM advisor.
I gotcha. Okay. Okay. So the idea is to try to remove as many conflicts as possible, right? We're trying to get rid of all the conflicts we possibly can, given the fact that it's almost impossible to remove all the conflicts in our business. I mean, we understand that. So that's kind of the overarching idea.
It is the overarching idea, and to create outcomes for clients that are fairer and more logical for them.
Okay.
So, for example, I have spoken with certain advisors that have noticed that in their practice, people come to them with an immediate need. A lot of times it's, oh my gosh, I want to retire in 5 years and I haven't even started doing any planning. And the advisor says that they take a year and that year is very intense and that they probably underbill during that year. But then in most of the years immediately following, once they get that initial round of work done, that they're radically overcharging the client for a much longer period of time than they were undercharging, and
Yeah.
by a much greater extent.
1,000%. I
So
get it. Yeah.
you see what I'm saying? So what we could do
So,
in these cases,
so what's
yeah.
stopping someone from saying, "Hey, you've already built this out for me, and by the way, I'm not. If we're gonna go to hourly, I'm just gonna do 1 or 2 hours a year for you, moving, or I'll only need 1 or 2 hours a year from you moving forward because I've already gotten that from you. Like you've already underbilled year one, and you're trying to recoup it year two, three, and four. How is that a good business model to that degree?
Because the idea is that by swaying the balance in favor of the client,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to underbill you year one, and the contract's only for a year. So
Yeah.
when it comes up to renew, if you tell me you want to go to hourly, then I presumably won't be making that $10,000 a year because the resources and time required of my firm won't be as large as it was in the initial year.
Exactly.
But this is where the client, all we could do is hope and pray that we communicate this with enough clarity so that the client says, that's awesome. I'm going to tell 25 of my friends about you.
Uh-huh.
Or that's awesome. I'm definitely going to come back.
So it's
Because
a volume play is basically what it is. It's more of a volume play, technically.
Well, I think how many clients you do business with depends on what you provide for those clients. Not every advisor has a very heavy first year and a lighter second, third year. There
Yeah.
are many advisors that focus on many different aspects of someone's life. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not standard across the industry that this happens. Okay. But I think that you might end up in that scenario with more time and less built-in retainer relationships, fewer retainer relationships that are just going to pay you that 10,000, and now you have to go out and hustle.
Yes.
But the hope is that over time that you accumulate enough people that people are always, if you think about what would happen in that scenario, create high quality outcomes, operate with more fairness, logic, and clarity.
Mm-hmm.
You would hope and pray that over a prolonged amount of time, you become the Toyota dealership in the town that everyone's talking about.
Yeah.
By operating that way. And you just have to have faith that it will. And if you don't believe that transparency is better for clients, then don't opt for a transparent business model in the first place. And there's the reason I say this, Kevin, is because there are certain advisors that will say, well, I'm going to come in on the flat fee and undercut. It's going to be lower fees. 10,000 is
Good
lower
luck.
than the.
Good luck.
Well, first of all, because it's a race to the bottom.
Yeah,
But
I'm good.
second of all, I mean, what you're doing is you're not calibrating, you're not aligning. You're just going based on what some market price is that's out there that's arbitrary.
Yes.
It doesn't necessarily line up with, this is the type of client we work with. These are what their needs are in terms of resources and hours per year. And I have a machine that they can plug into that's going to create a good outcome for that. Given it doesn't do that. It just says, this is the cheapest
Vanguard.
widget.
I got you.
Like on the website, you know?
Yeah, yeah. But but here, I guess my question is this. So when does capitalism, when we talk, and I don't, it's the economic side of things. Like, so when is it like, hey, you know what? I want to build a sustainable business that has recurring revenue that can allow me to basically live the life that I want. And the AUM model basically can produce that rather quickly. 3 to 5 years in, you grab enough assets, you take care of your clients, and you have that recurring revenue every single year. Like, why and why is that a bad thing from a capitalist perspective to work smarter, not harder, and stay transparent while you're doing so? Can you not stay transparent while you're doing that?
You can say transparent to some extent, but it's not the most transparent. There are, I would argue, more conflicts of interest inherent in certain business models that might work better from a capitalist perspective.
I got you. Yeah. Okay. Well, the last thing I want to say, and I appreciate that conversation. This is great. It's been a great conversation, Sarah. I appreciate it. This has been awesome. You know how, and we talk about capitalism all the time. And traditionally, what we're supposed to do is when automation comes into play, right? When automation comes into play, we get these new AI engines, and it saves us money. Typically, what happens is that money goes back to the client from a cost perspective. We reduce our costs. So AI and automation, is that going to compress costs? And then how are advisors justify pricing and value when there's more AI and tech in their field, and it's basically lowering the amount of hours it takes to be with clients, basically. Like, for example, I have all this software right now. I can do things, and by the way, it's based on the fact that I've been the expertise to do so. But what used to take me 2 or 3 hours now maybe take me 15, 20 minutes. For example, the note takers and things like that. So should that cost go back into lowering costs for clients, or should that be recouped by the business? Or does that make sense?
I think that it should, what the advisor should do is use AI to improve the client experience. And by that, I mean improving the aspects of your service that have a direct impact on the psychology of the client,
Hey, so
on their behaviors.
Yeah, I got an example for you. So I got a better example for you. I was using AI recently on my own personal business, right, Sarah? So I got all of my statements. I put all of my statements in the AI chatbot. I said 3 months of statements of credit cards, bank statements, yada. Of course, I redacted the personal information, FYI. I said, hey, these are the business expenses. These are the personal expenses. Let's run a diagnostic on what my average 3-month cost or 3 months outlay looks like. Boom. Kevin, this is your average cost. This is what you spend on these, yada, yada, yada. That would have taken us a week of just data mining and all the other stuff. Now it's minutes. So it's that type of cost savings that like, hey, I can do this stuff in a matter of minutes. So from that perspective, do I charge an hourly fee based on the fact that it only took me 15, 20 minutes to do that? Or what it used to take me to do it? And that is that a cost savings, or do I raise my hourly cost because of it? You get what I'm saying? You get what I'm kind of asking? Like, how does that work? How does that work in regards to like, oh, okay, I want to run a successful practice, but now what used to take me hours is now taking me minutes. So how does that work from an hourly perspective? Do I raise my cost hourly?
No, I
Okay.
think you dedicate more time to using the output of whatever analytical AI tools you're using to educate clients, inform them, and help them gain greater insights about their financial behavior.
I like it. Hey, we're on the same page here. Last thing. I agree with you. A lot of people that this is where I kind of get sideways with the whole debate because my philosophy is, hey, run your business, be successful, be a good value to your clients. But some people that have this discussion are people that either I'm not going to say jealousy of people making a lot more money than them, and that's fine and all that stuff. But it's like, man, I know you and you're barely getting by. Why are we having this debate? Run your business, find new clients, and just go and be successful. Stop debating this topic. Like that's where my mind goes to when we have these conversations. Yes, I want to be fees. It needs to be transparent. But for some of these guys out here, it's like, man, you need to run your business because you're not going to have a business in the next 6 months.
Well, yeah, I think that's an entrepreneurship skill.
Yeah.
As entrepreneurs, we have to be acutely aware of where we're effective and where we're not. And yes, Kevin, I have seen those advisors that just want to go and fee bash and they're out there on social media and really have nothing behind it because they're not even successful financial advisors and their practices aren't thriving. So that's an entrepreneurship decision that was poorly made.
Gotcha.
What I think a good entrepreneur would do is to use social media and use these discussions, these podcasts, these conferences as a way to make services better for clients.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's easy to get caught up. You know what I'm saying? And like to
Yes.
some extent, social media is a little bit of a cat and mouse game where the
Yeah.
objective is to get attention and you're rewarded for that. But I think there does come a point where when you do that enough, Kevin, you're going to find that you're just speaking to the echo chamber and everybody who agrees with you is going to be on there slamming the other people just with you. And it's going to really be a zero-sum game after a while. So, but the people that do that are lousy entrepreneurs anyways. I've never seen a good entrepreneur that when they're really in the thick of it, of the need of having to develop and grow, it is out there doing things that are negative or that are zero sum. And I've never seen a good entrepreneur do that.
That's the crux of this conversation. Like I always say, good entrepreneurs are going to be good entrepreneurs and they're not going to worry about what's going on in these echo chambers because they are really about the client. They're really about value and bringing value and quality to these conversations. Sarah, this has been a great conversation. I'm going to leave the last word to you. What would you like the audience to know?
Well, what I'd like the audience to know is that the market is going to decide which fee model works best for them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's up to you as an entrepreneur to go out there and to clearly communicate. You cannot over clarify when you communicate. So this is America. This is still the best country in the world, in my opinion, for entrepreneurs. And if you can, if you want to make it here with any fee model, then any fee model that you choose, then you can. But it's a matter of how relevant are you, how skilled are you, and how well can you really connect with other people. And sometimes that might be in ways that you never ever imagined. I hear so many financial advisors that say things like, well, I don't want to connect with other advisors because they're going to steal my clients. I mean, I mean, maybe, you know what? Maybe if you're not clear about who you're connecting with, like maybe if you just accept random connections from other financial advisors, you are maybe going to occasionally get somebody who does not have good intents or good intentions, okay? Or I also hear financial advisors that say, all I get is vendor messages on LinkedIn. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how many people salespeople know? It's like it's a person, it's a seed, plant a garden. And that not enough people think of it like that. Like I'll always I'll eat an apple and take the seeds and germinate them in my refrigerator, go plant them and have them grow trees in my New York City apartment building.
Whoa. You just gave me an idea because I eat apples every day. So you basically take the apple seeds, put them in your refrigerator, and then put them in the backyard? Or
You wrap it, yeah, you wrap it in a paper towel, you put it, you wet it, you put it in a plastic bag, you put it in the refrigerator. It's called cold stratification. I have apple trees growing here. I have an acorn that sprouted. I could potentially grow an oak tree in my New York City apartment. I have lemon trees. I have an avocado. And Kevin, that's exactly it. Thank you so much for saying that. Everything is a seed.
Yes.
Every human interaction that you have is a seed that could grow into something beautiful. Yeah. Just because you don't know. And sometimes because I'm religious, I believe this, that God does have a will and that God does understand our path better than we do. But not everybody believes that. So even if you don't, it's a proven fact that you don't always get business from the people that you intentionally target. A lot of times it's that accounting software vendor that just thinks a lot of you because you took the time to always pay your bill on time, that you always are cheerful when you're having the conversation with them. You don't ignore their emails when they say, hey, your credit card tapped out. Could you replace it, please? Mm-hmm. And so that accounting vendor is when they're at their Christmas party and their mother-in-law says, my annuity is right, they're going to put her over to you.
Yeah.
You see? Yeah. So it's just like, I know this sounds like mom's apple pie, but the people that invest time in the right relationships are the ones that are going to win. And it doesn't matter if you're flat fee, if you're this or that. So I would just like to say to all the people that are out there for the right path, that want to increase transparency, that want to see these business models flourish, either because they're running them or because they know somebody that does, know this.
Yeah.
It's easier than you think, but you have to speak correctly and pay attention correctly to the right people.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm going to say that there's a fallacy out there that anyone can take your business. I mean, I'm taking business from the big boys. I'm not taking it from other advisors. I'm taking it from the Morgan Stanleys of the world, the Merrill Lynch's of the world. I'm not worried about taking it from another small RA like myself. I mean, the ocean is vast, my friends, and we can all have our boats. Let the guys be on their yachts, but the ocean is vast. There's a lot of water out there for all of us. So, Sarah, this has been a wonderful conversation. You enlightened me to the side of truth, right?
Amen.
And I appreciate having this conversation. Thank you so much for joining the 90s podcast.
You're very welcome. God bless.
All right, 1 second. We had Sarah Grillo on the call today talking about fees, transparency, and what it means for the industry. I appreciate the conversation because a lot of people thought it was going to go, oh, it's going to be a debate. No, it's not a debate. This is just about clarity, and we want to know exactly what people are feeling in the industry. I gave my points, she gave her points, and we came to a conclusion that, hey, multiple fee models do exist. This is a market, and this is just the way it's going to be. But there are ways to remove and reduce conflicts of interest. Sarah, thank you for joining us. Thank you for giving us the insight and the wisdom that you provide. As I always say, subscribe to the channel. As I always say, go and get my book, MLB to CFP, live on Apple and Amazon. You have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can email us at info@99capitalgroup.com. Send us your questions. Go to the website at www.99capitalgroup.com. Schedule your appointment. As you know, we're here to do what? Educate, empower, engage, and also entertain. Follow us on all social media channels at 99cap or at MLB to CFP. And subscribe to our Substack. Now what? Thank you guys for listening. Stay humble, stay safe, my friends. I'll see you again soon.